Alright guys, the final epic conclusion of this series. Ondjage, will he make the reverse sweep happen? Mentally, he's probably put his opponent on the back foot in that last game, which, if you saw it, was a very quick and decisive victory. And maybe that's the mindset that led to him picking the Beastman. Although, of course, I'm just joking. Bobman did actually defeat Fistek, the current ever chosen. Probably with this build, but definitely in this matchup. In the group stage that got him into this playoff stage in the first place. And Ondjage is actually being quite aggressive here. Moving out with a force of clan rats and Skaven slaves. And I really like how he doesn't just make a line of Skaven slaves, because then they just all route. Because one routes and then the other routes. Or the other's route, he's using them sort of in between his clan rats, which don't have the expendable trait. So that the clan rats won't care when the Skaven slaves run away. Skaven slaves are too far from each other to care that other Skaven slaves are running away. So nice stuff there, very good deployment. The Harpies do dive on the Poison Wind Globadiers. And these uncontested Chaos Warhounds and Centaurs are already reaching around and looking very scary there. Because what is really going to stop them? There are some spears in the back, there are some rat ogres, which might do the trick. There's the Manticore sound, which of course I was talking about last time. I didn't have to hear it then, but it's here now, and we're probably going to hear it the second time in just a bit. Yeah, for now, this beefy Skaven frontline actually looks to be holding up quite well here. Even despite Bobman's best efforts to stop these Poison Wind Globadiers from firing, he's been doing a very good job, but you have to consider that if these guys lob one shot into your Ungor Spearman, it's already going to do quite a bit of damage to them. And right here it's looking a bit like the Beastman fighting against the Plague, or fighting against Vampire Counts, where it's just like a blob of units that is destroying the Beastman with AoE effects. And you can see the mighty Beastman leadership is already breaking off there, as some Skaven slaves keep the backline secure against these Centaurs. Yeah, Centaurs, they can definitely kill these guys in the end. They're not actually taking much damage here either. But the spears come in, and these things really want to be doing other stuff than dealing with Skaven slaves. Now, Bobman, he still has the summons. I think these were the Chaos spawn that were summoned, so can't rely on those anymore. Man, the Warp Grinders were just destroying everything there with a Seismic Snare once again. But end up getting terrified and routing off. Not exactly sure what they got terrified by though, because the Manticore just got summoned. Yeah, a lot of units are breaking here, and now we see the mighty Skaven leadership starting to buckle. They do have Trot, they do have the Plague Priest, so the Council Guard with Store Vermin are getting a lot of value from that Guardian ability. And one thing this Beastman army does not have is Ungor Raiders to really put the pressure on these Rat Ogres and the Plague Priest, and even Trot. Everything has to happen in melee, which means everything has to sort of grind against this Mortis effect from the Plague Priest. And it's kind of difficult to focus damage on Trot. The big Flock of Doom comes in, does thin the ranks there of the Skaven. And, you know, there's still backline pressure from the Centaurs. Ondjage still has units to respond to, so a close battle in the end as multiple Beastman units rally in the back. The leadership is sort of going back and forth here. The Chaos Spawn, of course, unbreakable. Morgur, very good in this sort of situation. The Warp Quake once again being used, and you can see it's damaging Morgur and all the Beastman units, and also slowing them down quite considerably, so that's a really cool play there by Ondjage. The Bray Shaman, decent combatant, but losing hit points here as he's surrounded by clan rats. Hopes he can get out to still get some spells off. Centaurs will be able to rally. So will the Harpies, even though they're pretty low leadership right now and won't get a lot done, I think. Chaos War Rounds and Centigores pondering on their next move. But yeah, they don't get a lot of time to think because Trot is about to dive on them. Ondjage is just being really aggressive here with his melee-centered Skaven army, which I believe only had one ranged unit, one unit of Clubadiers, that was it. Botman breaks these Warp Grinders, which have been causing him quite a bit of grief, so a good idea to focus on that unit. Skaven are just keeping everything close together, but you know, some of their units overextended maybe a little bit and could get picked off if the Beastmen managed to disengage here. But Trot, of course, is very fast, and I think disengaging would mean leaving Morgur to his fate, so they don't seem eager to do that, would rather try to make the most of the absence of these units, even a unit of Storm Vermin here, currently absent from the fight, to try and break this blob. But more summons come in, and yeah, the Plague Priest actually has the Creature Killer buff. That's quite funny, to get more damage in on any large units. Seems Botman is now diving for Trot, actually drops him quite low with that charge, but the follow-up damage as they engage in sustained melee just isn't as amazing. Harpies do come in again. Morgur chase after the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep. And yeah, the Bray Shaman gets taken out. And what do the Beastmen have left at this point? Actually not much. Their army looked like it was built to really disrupt a lot of shooting units from the Skaven, which Ondjage didn't have. The Warp Grinders, which are sort of a melee unit, actually doing his, well, quote-unquote range damage for him in this battle. Everything just standing really strong around that Plague Priest and Trot. And I know a lot of people say this is a good Beastman matchup, and yeah, they can definitely win it, but I mostly see them lose it, because I feel like if the Skaven player is really good, he knows how to exploit the weaknesses of the Beastman. Because he knows exactly what he's going to be up against, so he will be able to build against it. Whereas the Skaven can actually be a bit more varied in the things they bring. It seems Ondjage understands this matchup quite well. Of course, a Warhammer 1 veteran, he's very familiar with the Beastmen, their strengths and weaknesses, and I would say he exploited them pretty well here. Didn't allow his key targets to get picked off. And at this point, there's nothing the Beastman can do, basically. There's even units in reserve here that could be brought back, and Morgur, he's good so long as he can fight regular units, but once he has to go up against other characters, especially something strong like Trot, it's really bad. Yeah, Ondjage with the reverse sweep, actually beating his opponent there after being 2-0 down, but he managed to bring it back. Definitely looked like, yeah, that was a tournament experience coming into play there. Just very good composure, kept doing what he had to be doing, didn't panic, didn't try anything strange, played what he prepared, and manages to move on to the next round. So congratulations to him, and we will hopefully see him again on this channel in the quarterfinal of the World Championship. Stay tuned for that. Do subscribe if you want to be notified of any new content that appears.